and I promised. Overnight, we became paupers. Our harvest of grapes was gone. The harvest that provided the means to live on was destroyed. Our home vanished overnight. My father was dead, and my mother was alone with 6 children, the youngest being only 6. Over the years, Alsace had gone back and forth between France and Germany, depending on who won the war. At this time, Germany had annexed Alsace as part of Germany. However, Alsace always considered itself to be French and never German. Because of this annexation, my 2 oldest brothers had been drafted into the German army. 17-year-old Antoine was sent to the Russian front, and 18-year-old Charles was drafted into the SS and sent to the interior of France as an interpreter. On D-Day, Charles was sent to the front lines in Normandy. He was ordered to fight the American liberators, who were the 29th Infantry Division. He did not want to fight the liberators because he was a Frenchman, forced into the SS against his will. He deserted the SS rather than fight the Americans. But that's another story. In the school shelter, we had no food. However, people in the shelter were able to make a stew using the flesh of a dead cow. We thought liberation would come at any minute. We slept in the coal room, mattresses on the coals. I felt no hunger. On the 16th of December, the 3rd Infantry Division relieved the 36th Infantry Division. The German commander in the basement of the school cellar knew something was going to happen and was very uneasy. On the morning of December 22nd, 1944, the German commander told us to move out. We put a white cloth on top of a stick and walked out of the cellar. The walls of burned houses were lying in the street. The town was in shambles. We had to literally climb through it. For the first time, we saw the damages of war. We could smell the rotting corpses of dead animals in the streets. We could see human bodies lying everywhere. It was a horrifying vision for me, along with my younger brothers and sister. The church steeple was still burning, and the entire village had burned to the ground. We had spent a total of 18 days in this shelter. My father's mother, who was 80 years old at the time, my mother, me, and my 3 younger siblings walked 7 miles to Colmar. Once we arrived there exhausted, we were directed to the school that accommodated refugees. While in Colmar, I was able to continue my apprenticeship to be a professional cabinet maker. Colmar wouldn't be liberated until February 2nd, 1945. On December 23rd through December 25th, 1944, the 3rd Infantry Division attacked the village of Benvir and drove the Germans out from behind the rubble. The village was finally free. Sadly, there was no one there to welcome the liberators because we had all fled for our lives. In May 1945, French General Charles de Gaulle came to Benvir and said, "Such destruction I have never seen." It took us years to put our lives back together, rebuilding our home and starting life over without my father. In 1952, at the age of 22, and with $120 in my pocket, I traveled by boat to Canada to begin a new life in Montreal. I soon found a job in a carpenter shop making 85 cents an hour. I was all alone in a big new world. Why did I leave my family and country? A new American friend that I met in church convinced me that my ticket to success was to sell health books door to door. He was right. I sold health books for 2.5 years, saving all my money except what I needed to live on. I was able to purchase a new car, paying cash, and had enough money to finish my high school education and begin college. I was free. I attended what is now Kingsway College in Oshawa, Ontario, finishing with a pre-nursing certificate. During this time, I met the lovely typing teacher, Rose, and after getting permission from the school administration, was able to date her, eventually making her my wife. After our wedding in 1957, I attended Columbia Union College, received my Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. I finished my education at the Graduate School of the University of Pennsylvania, graduating with my anesthesia degree. By this time in 1964, Rose and I had 2 small children, and we eventually settled our young family in Roano, Virginia. In 1984, my oldest brother Charles sent me a book written by a group from my hometown of Benvier. This is all in French. Remember the name of it, Dad? The Village Martyred.
Read it in English.
Oh, it's in English. In English, the title is A Martyred Village in the Heart of the Colmar Pocket. As I read the book, I came to the list of some civilian casualties, and my father's name, Antoine Buch, was on the top of that list. It was then that I cried for the very first time. I was finally able to tell my wife, and now grown children, what I lived through during the war. I felt the big load had been lifted off my shoulders. I even wanted to go back and live among the people who had suffered as much as I did, but it was not possible. I thought, what can I do? I went to the archives in Washington, D.C. and obtained the address of the 3rd Infantry Division. I went to their national convention, addressed the group, and expressed that I wanted to take a group of them back to my hometown so that the villagers could finally meet their liberators. In 1986, we made a special trip to Benvier and area battlefields. 20 veterans from the 3rd Infantry Division, along with their wives, were received like royalty. Arrangements were made by the mayor Jean-Paul Schmidt and his assistant Augustine Wagner. A special church service was held, and outside the church, a presentation of the veterans was made and speeches were given. The veterans were greeted with bands playing, people cheering, flags were waving, and toasts were made. We were invited to people's homes for meals and celebrations. We visited battlefields, and in the evening we were shown a movie of Benvier. The welcome that our village had planned in 1944 was finally given in 1986, 42 years later. Today, one of those same veterans has a place named after him, John Shirley Place. Our trip was written up in the Roano Times. Colonel Norman Elmore of the 29th Division read the article. He contacted me and asked if I would do a similar trip for the 29th Division. I agreed. And in 1988, a group of 45 had a grand tour visiting battlefields and attending receptions in their honor. Members of the Veterans Association have a bond not found in any other organization. Only men who have gone through the war experience can understand this. Yet, as bitterly as they had to fight the enemy, the veteran feels no bitterness or animosity toward their former enemy. One American captain, when asked about that, replied, "For every German soldier that died, there was a mother who cried over the death of her son." The American veteran deserves our esteem and respect. Thanks to the American veterans, my family survived the war. I made a life for myself in America. I got married. I had children. And I have 7 grandchildren. On behalf of my entire family, thank you.